Hi and welcome. I'm Christie Goodwin and this is Capture Our Beautiful World. So today I would like to talk to you about how we can capture the beauty in the world. There's two ways to take pictures. There's either snapping, which is just randomly clicking the button, or there's taking pictures with the essence of photography. And that's what I'm going to discuss today. Image capture is everywhere these days because we have our mobile phones, we have our laptops, we have iPads, we have the compact cameras which are easy to use, and we have of course also the professional cameras which are a little bit more difficult to use. And we put it everywhere, social media, internet, and we almost say like everybody's a photographer these days. We hear it all the time. But is that really the truth? Is everybody a photographer? Now that begs the question whether photography is just clicking the button. And maybe some will feel that way and others will say, no, there's more to it. And I'll discuss you what's more to it. Photography is one of the most underrated forms and misjudged forms of art. Because these days it's so easy to capture something on your phone and on your camera, it feels like it's accessible to everybody. But the outcome, what we put out there, isn't always high quality photography. And I feel these days quality has really gone down because we've become so used to the mass load of pictures that's available on the internet, on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere, Facebook. And we see so many pictures, but quality of photography isn't what it used to be. People don't take care of taking a picture anymore, which is a shame. And I would like to help you to take better care of taking pictures, to get the quality back up what it should be, to make photography a beautiful piece of art again. Now, photography, first of all, is taking a picture with a purpose. So that already differentiates you with the snappers. The snappers will just snap around. If you take a picture with a purpose, then you are actually practicing photography. So before you take a picture, you should actually think to yourself, what is it that I want to capture? What is the story I want to tell? What is it that I want the people who look at the picture perceive, feel, think about? And that's where it starts becoming photography. You have to convey an emotion, a meaning. Maybe you just want to show something that's worth looking at, but that's already, there's a meaning to it because it's worth looking at. So before clicking the button, you think what you want to capture. A photographer also understands the communication between the eyes and the brain. It's one of the 5 senses. Now, if you think about the sense of touch, if you touch broken glass, it will give you a nasty feeling, maybe even scary feeling. If you touch a soft cuddly toy, it will give you a pleasant feeling. With the eye, it's just the same. If we see something that's really giving positive stimulus to the brain, it will give us a happy feeling. If we see something that gives us a negative stimulus to the brain, then we'll have a bad feeling. It's the same thing. So when we take pictures, we want to stimulus from the eye to the brain, give positive image, give a positive vibe. And I'll explain you how to do that. Spoken language is based on letters and sounds, and photography, the visual language of photography, is based on elements and principles. And what are those? Let's start. Applying these principles will set your images apart from the snapper. So if you apply the principles of photography and you actually use the visual language to tell the story in a picture, then it will become photography and no longer snapping pictures. So that's the positive that I want you to take with you. One of the first elements that are very important in photography are the lines. They determine how you will see something and what it will translate to your brain. There are some basic ones like The vertical line is the dominant line. That's strong power. If you want to show power in your picture, like for instance, when it's a performance and there is the subject in the middle standing straight, it gives us a sense of power. So when you look at a picture of somebody standing straight, it will communicate to you that it's powerful, it's strong. When it's horizontal, it's calm, it's more relaxed. And diagonal line is more movement. So if, for instance, if you take a picture of a performer standing straight with the neck of the guitar, if you wait before snapping until the guitar is in a diagonal line like that, it will give a sense of movement. Now this line that you see here, it's a leading line, which means that it actually helps your eye go to the subject. Now if that line of lights wouldn't be there, you might not immediately look to the subject. You might have actually looked to the applause there or maybe something else in the picture. But because of the leading line, you will immediately look to the subject. So lines really help you to direct your eyes to where you want to look, but it also helps you to get a certain mood. Is it strong? Is it calm? Is it moving? Everything, and there's many more lines of course, but it will help you direct the mood of your picture. The second thing that I want to talk about is shapes. You have the most recognized shape is the heart form. So shapes will give you immediately the impulse of what it's about. If you see the shape of a heart, you will think love, you will think happiness, you will get a happy feeling. If you see a cross, for instance, the shape of a cross, it's something else. It's more darker, it's more scary sometimes, it's more sad. Shapes in pictures is very important because it sets a tone again. And also it's very important to not use wrong shapes with the message you want to tell. So if you have a funeral, you don't want a heart shape in your picture, for instance. It's maybe ridiculous, but it's one of the examples I could give you. Then there's the texture. Texture also brings a certain mood to pictures. Soft texture, hard texture. If you see stone, you're not going to think soft. If you see something more like a fluffy cushion, you won't think hard. Our brain is set to that. When we see that, we immediately link it to a certain mood. This one you see confetti, which is also a texture. It gives you a feeling of party, happiness, festivity. So texture will give a certain mood, direction of mood to your picture. So using texture in your pictures can set the mood that you want to create. Color is also a very important one. We have, of course, the basic colors, which is red. Immediately will give us the sense of love, warmth, happiness. Blue is calm, it's the sky, it's the sea. Green is nature. Again, very important is not to confuse colors in your pictures. If you are shooting, for instance, for a health product and you use blue, it's going to be confusing. You would use green because it's nature, even yellow because that's the sun. You always have to think of what the colors mean, what sensation it gives, and then you can use the right colors in your pictures. Here it's just happiness, all colors all over, but it's very important to use the right colors, and the right colors again can give you the mood that you want to set. Depth is also a very good one. It's a very funny thing, but when we look at a picture where there's a different staging of people, we will be lured into the picture. It's automatic. If you can have somebody in focus in the front and you have people behind them, people will be invited into your picture Again, it's very good to set yourself apart from the other photographers. These days, it's very easy to get one person in focus because you have on your phone the touch screen. You can touch there, you'll have her straight away in focus, and that you can create a depth and you can lure the viewer into your picture, which is very handy because you want to get noticed, of course. You want your pictures to get noticed. You want to attract the viewer to your picture, and that's a way to do it. Our brain is something, we like organized things. We like to see things organized, and left and right balance is very important. If we take a picture and it's out of balance, we will get confused, we will look away. You will lose the attraction of the viewer. There was a test a couple of years ago with just a simple cube, and the cube was taking a picture of it 5 times, and every time it was put like just a little out of place, and one was put straight, and they gave the people those 5 pictures, and everybody chose the same picture, the one that wasn't put out of place. Although to the naked eye, visibly, you couldn't see the difference. Our brain just reacts to it, it sees it, it notices it. So we are very particular about feeling happy, feeling good, looking at something organized, something clean. Left-right balance can do that. If you have everything in balance in your picture, you will attract the viewer to your picture. If something's out of balance, out of whack, they will look away. So remember that one. Symmetry is also a very weird one, I think, but I love it. Perfect, absolute perfect symmetry will always attract the viewer to your picture. It's something that you have to create because it doesn't exist in nature. And scientists say that that's why the brain is so eager to see perfect symmetry. It's because in nature it doesn't exist. In nature, wherever you look, there is no perfect symmetry. Even our face, for instance, it looks like it's 2 halves that are the same, but they're completely out of whack. They're all different. Our body sides are different. Trees, sea, sky, everything is different. There's no perfect symmetry in nature. And that's why there is some sort of passion for the brain to see perfect symmetry, to have that perfect in one goal to see. And so if you can create that and put it out there, you will always have viewers looking at that, because automatically, even if the picture isn't what they were looking for, they will look at it because of the perfect symmetry. So symmetry is always very good to work with to attract your viewer. Also setting the mood. I've talked a lot about mood, but mood is very important in your pictures. Setting the mood with light. Now, I could talk about light a whole day long. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just giving a few pointers to get your pictures better, more perfect than they might have been before. And working with light is very important. It sets the mood. If you use dark light, it will give a sense of power, intensity, maybe even somber, dark. Working with dark light will set the mood of anything that you want to set like more somber. The opposite of it is bright light. Bright light you use optimistic, airy, happy, gentle, and it sets the mood for that in your picture. So don't confuse those. Don't try to create a happy scene with a dark light, because it will confuse the viewer. The viewer will look away. You want to capture the viewer's attention. Then there's also working with contrast. So you have high contrast and low contrast. Again, it will speak what your picture wants to say. High contrast is dramatic, it's loud, it's vibrant, it's punchy. The more contrast you put in your picture, the more it will shout. If you use low contrast, it's more gentle, it's more soft. Now, the contrast and the light should be combined, and then you will get very powerful pictures. So if you have a very dark picture, you put high contrast, it will become very powerful, but still somber, but very powerful. If you have a very light picture and you use low contrast, it will become very gentle, very soft. It's again the whole mood you want to create in your picture. And now I will give you 5 pro tips to get you better pictures, more beautiful pictures. My first tip is no aberrations. The aberration in your picture is whatever is in the picture that shouldn't be, what's left in the picture what shouldn't be. Now, I've seen that many times when people are taking a picture of something beautiful and there's all sorts of mess at the sides, but they stand still. Sometimes it helps to make 1 or 2 steps forward and you will remove all the clutter out of your little frame. Sometimes moving away or moving closer will help you get a better picture. But also try to avoid shooting clutter in your picture that doesn't belong. It doesn't matter how beautiful what you are going to take the picture of is. People will not be interested when there's clutter in your picture, when there is something in the picture that doesn't belong. It will distract them, they will pay no attention to your picture. So avoid clutter and anything that doesn't belong in your picture. The second one is sharpness. It sounds very evident that you should have a sharp picture, but it's surprisingly that people these days don't take a lot of care of shooting sharp anymore. People have become lazy. Sharpness is very easy to obtain these days because of the equipment we have. The phone, you just touch the screen and it will focus where you touch. The new cameras these days has a touch screen where you can touch and it will focus there. But even in the professional cameras, you can reset your settings so you can focus wherever you want, so you have sharp pictures. Sharpness is a very, very important part of photography. A picture that's not sharp is not attractive, is not appealing, and won't attract attention. I've actually done the exercise because we have a lot of time, looked at various news sites and the pictures they've put out there, made a tally of it, and 60% of the pictures that was out there on the internet were not sharp. It's a real shame because we've become desensitized and we think that not sharp pictures are okay. It shouldn't be like that. A picture should be sharp, it should attract your attention, it has to zoom you into the picture. Now, how to obtain that is putting the focus, of course, on whatever you want sharp in your picture. If you're shooting a portrait, you will focus on the eye. If you point in the eye and set the focus there, the rest will fall into place. The eyes will attract your viewer into the picture, so the eyes should be super sharp. Also very important is that whatever you use, whether it's a phone, an iPad, a camera, is to keep your equipment steady, because when you push the button, you will move the camera and you will be shooting less sharp. So always use whatever you're using with 2 hands and keep it steady. Also try to choose the focus point yourself and don't rely on automatic settings, because automatic settings might be nice to use and fun to use, they're not always accurate. So if you can, and if your equipment that you're shooting with allows it, use your focus points yourself so you can shoot sharp. Very important to shoot sharp. 3, I've talked to you about this throughout the whole session already, but mood is very, very important in a picture. It's often overlooked, but it sets everything. And before shooting the picture, you should actually ask yourself, what is the mood that I want to convey? I don't care what it is, whether it's your breakfast you're shooting, whether it's your dog you're shooting, or whether it's nature outside you're shooting. Think for a minute, sit still and think, what mood do I want to convey? If you're shooting and you know that you will be putting those pictures on Instagram, on Facebook, on the internet, there are people going to look on it. What is the mood that you want to convey? And it's very, very important that you set that, because when you set the mood and you know what the mood is, your picture will become more attractive. People will look at your picture. They will actually feel the mood that you have set. Very important. Create. And that's what will set you apart from a snapper, is that you have to create a picture. You just don't snap it. I see it at music concerts all the time. People are with their camera above their head and they're just clicking like that. I don't even want to think what they have on their camera after the show, but that's not taking pictures, that's snapping. So don't mindlessly shoot what's in front of you, but actually create an image. Look what there is and try to think in the confinement of the frame and create whatever you want to tell the viewer or whatever you want to express, create it within the frame. It is very important to always think when you're taking a picture. Of course, you take pictures for yourself as well, but these days we always put it out there on the internet. Always think what the viewer will feel, what the viewer will think, what you want to tell the viewer, what you want to express to the viewer. Always have the viewer in mind. And the last one, one that's very dear to my mind, is the printing. A picture is not a picture until it's printed. When it's on your computer, when it's on your camera, when it's on your phone, it's just digital data. It's not a picture yet. Once it's printed, it becomes a picture. And we have sort of lost the touch of printing these days, because we all collect it either on a folder, on our laptop, or on our phones. We have baskets full of pictures and we just keep them there for eternity. And sort of the sentiment of having a real photograph is lost. But there's nothing more beautiful than holding a photograph that you have created and looking at it and sharing it and maybe putting it in albums. There's so much more value to a photograph when you do that than when it's stored as data on your camera. What's also important is, if you have created a picture that you really think, wow, don't just print it in a small size, but just print it big. Because the bigger the picture, the more beautiful it will get. In photography, it's like that. You will see that when you go to an exhibition, they will never hang small pictures there. It's always very large size, because that's the wow factor. That's how you impress people. So if you have that beautiful picture out there, then have it printed and print it large and enjoy it and have others enjoy it as well. And I'm working with Seeway, who are lovely printers who really take good care of printing high quality pictures, small sizes, large sizes, photo books, whatever you want. And just don't forget to print. Get those pictures off your phone and have them printed and enjoy them like forever with everybody. Well, that's that. Thank you for watching, and go out there and take beautiful pictures.